Hello and welcome to this GCSE explainer on the impact of transnational corporations in poorer countries. Okay, so a transnational corporation is a company that has branches and manufacturing and research and development and headquarters all over the globe. So they tend to have a major headquarters in the country where they start. They're often in richer nations, but not exclusively now. And those headquarters have research and development planning and their media operations. They'll have regional sub-offices in other countries and production areas in poorer nations to take advantage of lower labour, lower environmental standards and lower raw material costs, or they might just be there because they want to have access to the market. You might also see them known as multinational corporations. Okay, so you can see some here. These are the major corporations, the top 20 biggest companies in Nigeria. So a lot of them, like Shell Petroleum Development Company, that's UK and Dutch. Mobil Nigeria, that's another oil company there from the United States. You've got a telecommunications company there from South Africa. You have got the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, that's Nigerian. Nestle's a food company there from Switzerland. Total Nigeria, that's from France. And again, that's another petrol company, and so on. But you've also got lots of Nigerian companies on that list as well. So it's not just big international companies in Nigeria. You have got some massive Nigerian companies as well, but we're focusing on the transnational corporation ones. And we do know that oil is a massive industry in Nigeria. It brings in a lot of its GDP and a lot of its wealth. Some of the major TNCs in Nigeria, you've got Shell Nigeria, which we'll focus a little bit on today. They concentrate their operations in the Niger Delta, and they have and the sort of offshore areas as well. And they have more than 6,000 kilometres of pipelines and floor lines, 87 floor stations, 8 gas plants and more than 1,000 producing wells in Nigeria alone. And they employ 4,500 people directly, of which 95% are Nigerians. That's a big impact on the local economy. Okay, and 66% of the Nigerian staff members are from the Niger Delta, and another 20,000 people are employed indirectly through a network of companies. Nestle are one of the biggest food and beverage companies in Africa, originally from Switzerland, and they've been in Nigeria for over 57 years, employing a lot of people. You've got Daewoo, drill for oil and gas. They develop fertilizers and have over 60 power plant projects. They're from South Korea. GlaxoSmithKline are a UK-based science-led global healthcare company. They've been in Nigeria since 1971. Volkswagen are in Nigeria as well. They're a German company. They build cars, and obviously they were in Nigeria for a long time, quit for 20 years and then reopened a manufacturing plant in Lagos in 2015. You've got Michelin as well. They closed, costing 1,500 jobs. But Dunlop, another car manufacturing transnational corporations, are still in Nigeria. So you've got a lot of different ones there, probably names that you'd recognise. And you've got to remember, some transnational corporations are among the world's biggest economic institutions, and they're bigger than some countries. So transnational corporations' annual sales are comparable to or greater than the yearly gross domestic product of many countries. Okay, and there's an example there. Itochu Corporation sales exceed the gross domestic product of Austria. If we take Shell as a TNC in Nigeria, it's a massive TNC that operates in many countries around the world. Extracting the oil is the primary industry, but Shell also refine the oil, which is a secondary industry, and they sell the finished products, which is a tertiary service. Shell's work in Nigeria produces more than 21% of the country's petroleum production from more than 80 fields. Okay, and you can see there they operate down around the delta and in the sea, and they have manufacturing and oil refineries on land as well. So the operation is concentrated in the Niger Delta, and it covers around 31,000 square kilometres where they're drilling. And I've mentioned all those facts about their gas plants and the floor stations and so on. Okay. So it does stimulate the economy, having that manufacturing and drilling for oil. So you might get a new manufacturer such as Shell start refining oil in Nigeria. Local firms provide Shell's refinery with components or products. Those local people earn more money from working in Shell or the local firms. They spend more money in local businesses, and then taxes to the government go up, and that means the government have more money to spend on infrastructure and attractions, bringing in more manufacturing industries. Those TNCs have lots of positives for a country like Nigeria. So TNCs like Shell provide jobs in factories, making supplies and in services where the products are available for sale. If there's any spills and things, Shell do try and clean up after they accidentally damage the environment, although it can take a long time to get them to do that. And they don't always compensate the people. They have to be followed up legally where there's been oil spills. I've got an example of that on a different video. Transnational corporations often have charities to help people, so Shell has the Shell Foundation to help sustainability and biodiversity in local communities. And the main advantage, I guess, is that they invest money encouraging development. So Shell has spent 12 billion in low-income countries alone. That's a huge sum of money. They also pay tax, which can be used by governments to help countries help their people. Shell paid 20 billion in corporation tax in 2013, for example. And also the oil refineries like those in Nigeria use lots of local companies to help them run, so that creates that multiplier effect that we've just looked at. There are negatives though, and TNCs do come in for criticism. So their activities have polluted the environment in the past, and Shell has had many incidents involving oil spills, including the Bodo oil spill, which is on the environment sector of my website. TNCs have been accused of human rights abuses in the past, and there's one on the left there from against the Ogoni people in the Niger Delta. Employees in low-income countries often work longer hours in poor conditions, and not necessarily with Shell this one, but in factories known as sweatshops. Nike were accused of this in the 1990s. Also, employees in low-income countries might be paid much less. Some TNCs have been known to use child labour in their factories and operations, and the jobs are not secure as well, so they could lose their jobs without warning if the company decide to set up somewhere cheaper. Another general negative of transnational corporations is that the profits from production go straight to the headquarters in a higher income country or the original country where it's based in. And then even in high-income countries, big transnational corporations have been accused of doing everything they can to limit the amount of tax they pay by playing the system. So this example here, this is Ken Saro-Wiwa. Okay, the Niger Delta contains Ogoni land, home to the community that fought back against Shell. Shell has extracted $30 billion worth of crude oil from the land of the Ogoni people since the 1950s. And oil revenue makes up 75% of the Nigerian economy, and half of that comes from Shell. That's had consequences for the Ogoni people, many of whom live without electricity or running water, and who see none of the oil profits and have had to live with poisoning of land and water from pipelines, oil spills and gas fires. So Ken organised the locals into the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people and used non-violent protest methods against the power of Shell. The protest movement were attacked, killed and mutilated, and some people blamed the government for this. The military government made their intentions clear, and in 1994 Ken said, "This is it, that they, the Nigerian army, are going to arrest us all and execute us all for Shell." He was arrested on a murder charge, and he said, "I and my colleagues are not the only ones on trial. Shell is here on trial. The company has indeed ducked this particular trial, but its day will surely come." And despite pressure from some major European nations, Saro-Wiwa was hanged with 8 other protesters in 1995. And the then UK Prime Minister John Major said that the hanging was indefensible. Okay, so that's a major incident. No implication that it was Shell, but the government certainly needed that oil revenue and couldn't have people protesting about Shell's operations in the Delta. Okay, hope that's been useful.